try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We got to add a little addendum to the show map today. So we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. It always has been, but it's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government has been getting bigger. Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and welcome back to Coffee and Crypto Live. This is your week daily morning show where we bring you the latest and everything Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And in today's episode, we are going to be talking about the massive piece of fundamental news that is happening tomorrow here in the United States, and that would be none other than the United States presidential and congressional election. This year, we have two major candidates, President Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, running against each other, and we're going to see exactly who is going to win the White House in about 36 hours from now. I'm very, very excited for this day because, to be honest with you, there's been a great degree of FUD that has been hanging over the market during the last, year leading up to this election. And after the election, red or blue, we are going to hopefully see a obvious winner, and we're going to hopefully see a smooth transition of power, and we're hopefully going to see everybody come together in unity and be able to accept the outcome of the election. Who knows what's going to happen, but what's going to happen is that we're at least going to have some kind of peace. We're at least going to have some kind of understanding about where we are going next as a nation, and that, I think, is going to be very good for markets. The reason we're going to be talking about the election along with our technical analysis of cryptocurrencies today is because the election is the next major fundamental development that has been and will continue to impact Bitcoin, not only for the next week, but also for the next 4 years. Today, we're going to be talking about where Bitcoin is, why it has dropped $5,000 from all-time high, and whether or not this rally is going to continue to catapult us higher, and if $100,000 is still coming soon, as we expect that it is. We've got a lot to cover, so without much further ado, let's go ahead and dive right on into it. If you don't know, my name is Jeb. I've been working in the cryptocurrency space for about 7 years now. In fact, this YouTube channel will be turning 7 years old in 12 days on November the 16th. That'll be 7 years ago exactly we uploaded our first video, and in that video, we correctly called the all-time high on Bitcoin as coming soon, and we correctly called that a bear market was going to ensue because Bitcoin had not had a deep enough correction in October of 2017. A month later to the day, Bitcoin hit $20,000 and began a bear market the last 18 years, and ever since then, we've been doing nearly daily technical analysis on the Bitcoin market primarily, and it is my job here to help you know what's coming next so that you can make the wisest financial decisions. Greatly appreciate you guys tuning in. Joel Bollier is here in chat. Good morning, Jeb. Sean O'Brien is in chat. Micah Mann's in chat. Daniel J's in chat. Philly Skills 1428 in chat. Schmedley B in chat said, good morning, Jeb. Good morning, everybody. Good morning to you as well. Called Out's in chat. Ilyan Iliev is in chat. Good morning from Lom, Bulgaria. Shout out to Bulgaria. Bring Facts said, remember when you said ADA to $1.50? Pepperidge Farms remembers. What does Pepperidge Farm also remember? I've heard that before. I do believe that we're going to see Cardano go to $1.50, but the issue is Cardano going to $1.50 is not going back to all-time high. So there's a reason that I have not invested in Cardano in over a year at this point, is because it has not given me a lot of reason to be confident in it. I mean, it just, I invest in assets. One of my rules of investment is investing for the long term. I invest in assets that I reasonably expect will be worth more in 5 to 7 years than they are right now. And ultimately, Cardano has done a pretty terrible job in the last 2 years of convincing me that prerequisite for investment is going to be true, which is why I have not purchased any of it in quite some time, which is why I generally stay with Bitcoin and Ethereum, stocks, and real estate investment at this point, and I probably will for a very long time. I do hold Cardano. I have no intention of selling it because I do believe that it will go through a major rally, and I do believe $1.50 is very much possible, and I do believe that Cardano could go back to all-time high. That being said, I think that it's going to have its day during the altcoin season, which could be up to or even more than a year from now, so we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. All right, Satcha321 said, can you show us the week before the election in previous years? Yes, actually, that's one of the things we're going to be doing today. Big shout out to you. Rashad Williams said, Grand Rising, Jeb. Good morning to you as well. Grand Rising. That's a cool way of saying good morning. Grand Rising. Alan Westmoreland in chat said, Grant, hi, Jeb. Good morning, Alan Westmoreland. Shout out to Camp Westmoreland in Alabama. Our family founded that about 120 years ago, about 100 or so years ago. Dang, even Jeb don't want to buy ADA. Yeah, I'm not buying it. I'm just not. I want to see more development, and I haven't seen it. So, not buying it. I am not dogmatic about any candidate. I'm not dogmatic about any cryptocurrency. I'm not dogmatic about any investment. I am ridiculously convicted on the laws of money and also on the laws of investment, which we teach here. And so those guide my investment decisions, not my dogmatic allegiance to a certain investment or candidate. All right, cool. Let's talk a little bit about Bitcoin because that's what we're here for. Bitcoin's trading at $68,382. And there are people that are scared right now. And I want to remind you guys that are scared, this is what we expected would happen. Last week, we talked about that Bitcoin was going to go through a corrective movement, and Bitcoin would do one of two things. Either it would bounce and it would come up here and test the all-time high, and it would break, or Bitcoin would go through a rally here. Either it would break immediately right around the election, or we'd backtest and then break later. And what we're seeing right now is another one of the scenarios that we discussed, that Bitcoin would very possibly come back down here as low as, this is kind of our third scenario, as low as $65,000. We said that Bitcoin could, and actually, I wish it would, drop down to about 65K. I hope that Bitcoin drops down here to these levels. I hope that Bitcoin falls down to $65,000. I hope that Bitcoin falls down to this parabolic uptrending level of support. If Bitcoin does that, great. I think for the week following the election, we're going to have some tumult. When I say I hope there's going to be peace after the election, I don't mean in the first month. I know that in the first month, we're going to have a lot of people on both sides questioning the outcome of the election. And there's probably some merit to that. It would be foolish to say that there's absolutely no election interference going on anywhere. That would be stupid. Obviously there is. But we don't know the extent of that. Whether it's one vote is fake or millions of votes are fake. Who knows? We don't know what's going on. So there's definitely going to be some questions around the election and whether or not it is legit for a few weeks to a month, and maybe longer than that. But after you get like a month out, people are going to start settling in and realizing, okay, the decision's final. Whether it was real or not, the decision is final. And that means that we're going to start to have more confidence for the market. We're not going to have peace the day after the election. It's going to be absolute chaos. Half of the nation is going to be on cloud nine. The other half of the election is going to be very angry. Unfortunately, we are playing right into the devil's hand with all this disunity here in the United States. We must come together under the laws of God rather than under a candidate. That is why we have division in this nation. You can clip that and post that. If everybody listened to that and did that, we'd have a much nicer country. Nevertheless, within a month of us having the election, within a month of the election taking place out towards December, people are going to start to accept the outcome, even if they think that it was, nonsense. And so that will bring more stability. That will bring more peace into the market than we've had in a very long time, because we are going to have a confidence of who's going to be in office and who's going to be running the boat over the next 4 years. And you can hope and pray that Donald Trump wins. You can hope and pray that Kamala Harris wins. Ultimately, I want you to get out and vote. And that's my 2 cents on that. Millions of Americans fought and died for the right to vote. And just like I told my wife, I was like, we're going to be voting tomorrow. And that comes in front of everything unless it's life and death. It is priority. Millions of men and women fought and died for our right to vote. So we're going to go and do it. So get out and vote. Be informed. Do those 2 things. It's your civic duty as an American. Please do that. I want you to get out and vote. Don't sit back and not vote. Anyway, back on topic here. This election is bringing a lot of FUD. And so it makes total sense that Bitcoin would be going through a correction before the election. Let's talk a little bit about the correction before the election that we have seen in previous years. If we go back to our election that took place on Tuesday, November the 3rd, 2020, you can see that Bitcoin was actually in an uptrend running up toward the election here. Most people were expecting that President Donald Trump was going to be reelected, and so there was a great degree less uncertainty. We had an incumbent election. In other words, the incumbent was running. We had an incumbent election until President Joe Biden dropped out of the race. Was forced out of the race, whatever you want to call it. Ever since he dropped out of the race, we have not had an incumbent, which means that it is a naturally more uncertain election. It's generally pretty obvious that the incumbent wins. Generally speaking, the incumbent wins when they run for election. It was shocking that Donald Trump did not win, and then Vice President, now President Joe Biden won. And so there was not as much uncertainty leading up to the election in 2020. There was uncertainty around COVID, but there was not as much uncertainty around the election in 2020. And it was also overshadowed by the fact that we had the COVID-19 pandemic going on. And so we saw a rally going up into the election year, but we also have to understand that we were below all-time high, and we were in the middle of an all-time high run. So they're not really apples to apples comparison, so it's not very helpful. But if we go back to 2016, this is where we had a kind of a similar story, and we can see what played out here. On November, I think it was November, sorry, it was November the 8th. That's when it was. November the 8th, we did not have an incumbent. Same way as we do not have an incumbent right now. We were also not on a major run up towards all-time high because we were quite a bit south of all-time high. Excuse me, guys. I'm sorry. Got something in my throat. And so when we ran into the election here, we saw a lot of chaos. We saw a run-up, and then for the week before the election, we saw some tumult. We saw a correction here on Bitcoin of 10% a few days before the election took place. And we saw the Bitcoin market basically trade sideways straight through the election of President Donald Trump. And that election looks a lot more like what we saw here. So let's compare 2016's election, because it is a similar election, to our current election. And what you'll see happen is that even though half of the country was up in arms, half of the country wanted Hillary, the other half wanted Trump, even though the half of the country that wanted Hillary was up in arms, and it was a very tumultuous, contentious season, the end of 2016 moving on into 2017, the Bitcoin market still performed very well. And we also had a background rally going on in the S&P 500, which is what we have now, so it is a fair comparison. Bitcoin did not stop its rally because Donald Trump was elected, even though half the country didn't want him to be. In the same way, Bitcoin will not stop its rally in 2025, even if Kamala Harris or Donald Trump are elected, even though the other half of the nation doesn't want them to be. We do see a lot of comparison between 2016 and now. We saw a big run-up that was leading us toward breaking all-time high. Now, granted, we were further away from all-time high back then than we are now. We are closer to all-time high now, but we saw an immediate correction moving into the election. And then from there, we saw trading sideways for a couple of months following, basically through November and December, and moving on into January, Bitcoin took off. And that's exactly what I think is going to happen here. We're going to see some uncertainty. We're going to see some waves here in the cryptocurrency market over the next couple of weeks. As we pass through the election, it is extremely difficult to forecast what happens when you pass through one of the most important days in the world every 4 years. So it's difficult to forecast what's going to happen in just the next couple of days following the election. We could have a stock market rally. We could have a stock market crash. We could have a Bitcoin rally, a Bitcoin crash, Bitcoin trade sideways. But what I think is going to mainly characterize this movement is a lot of nothing. I think a lot of nothing's going to happen. Bitcoin is going to do a whole lot of squat. It's not going to do much for the few days following the election because all eyes are off. Nobody's focusing on Bitcoin right now. Everyone is focusing on Nobody is focusing on the election right now. Lol, dude said a bear market to last 18 years. I meant to say 18 months. If I said 18 years, sorry about that. That's a newborn baby in lacking sleep brain. 18 months, sorry, in 2018. That I probably meant to say 2018 in years, but yeah, 18 months. Anyway, we're probably going to see quite a bit of sideways trading coming through here, but it's not going to stop us. I don't care who wins, Kamala or Trump. We're not going to see that stop the Bitcoin bull market because the Bitcoin bull market does not base itself off of who's in office. It is not based off of who is running the United States federal government. It is based off of the unchanging principles that Bitcoin was built on, of immutability, of decentralization, of self-custody, of not having double spend, right? It is based on these fundamental principles, and it also runs with the stock market. I don't think if Kamala wins, the stock market is just going to absolutely crash right away. I also don't think that's going to happen if Donald Trump wins. Do I think Donald Trump would be better for the stock market? Yeah, I do. I totally think that he would be. But even if Kamala gets in, I think it's still going to perform well. And if you think Kamala would be better for the stock market, I'm here to tell you that even if Trump gets in, you're likely going to see the stock market do very well, even still, because the stock market's growth, and especially the growth of Bitcoin, are not contingent upon who is in office. They're contingent much more so on what Congress is doing, and also the general state of the economy. The president has a loose control of the stock market, but when you see presidential candidates saying, "Oh, the stock market grew this much under me and that much under you," that misunderstands the point. The growth of the stock market is maybe 5% impacted by who's sitting as the president. The president is the most powerful person on planet Earth, but there's still only one person. There's 8 billion others. And so what we are seeing right now is that the stock market's on a major run, and it's probably going to continue, guys. It's probably going to. There's a lot of manufacturing build out. We can talk about geopolitics here for a second. We are seeing so many companies move back onshore to America. Enormous amount of growth going on in the industrial sectors of America. So much growth. So many jobs being created. So many jobs are being created. Has there been a lot of inflation? Yes. Is that an issue? Yes. Is some of that inflation, to kind of cut through the political rhetoric, is some of that inflation caused by the growth of industry, which is actually going to lead to more prosperity in the long run? Yeah, it is. Part of it is that. We need to get inflation under control, but part of it is also because of the growth of the infrastructure and the growth of the supply chain and the growth of the industry here in the United States. And so what we are seeing right now is a great opportunity for Bitcoin to go through a massive rally in the next few years. So what do we want to say here? First of all, Bitcoin's probably going to have some tumult, some chaos, maybe some big rallies, big falls of 5 to 10% moving into and just through the election. But then from there, Bitcoin is going to be in much better shape to continue on this uptrend that we see here and continue up towards all-time high. I would be surprised if Bitcoin double topped at $74,000 and then went into a big crash. It could, but I don't really think that's what's going to happen. I think that we're going to instead see a big rally coming in the next few months. So let's read chat for a little bit, and then we'll keep it moving here and do some actual technical analysis on it. Appreciate all of you guys for being here. Betting markets have Trump way ahead. Yes, they do. Let's see. That's so funny. Someone in chat trying to get me as if I didn't go to middle school. Good deal. Let's see. Betting markets have Trump. Yep. Glad to be in the live stream again. Yes, good to see you, Joey Van Englenberg. Hello from snowy Colorado Rockies. Man, I love Colorado. Colorado is gorgeous. Oh, man. Absolutely gorgeous. I've been there twice. I went out to Keystone, went snowboarding, and I went there to Idaho Springs, I think it was. Was it Idaho Springs? And went and we climbed Mount Snicktaw out by Grays and Torreys, just off of I-40. I think that's the one that runs through the Continental Divide over there. Beautiful state. Colorado's a gorgeous, gorgeous state. Jeb, how's the wife? I'm going to be honest, she's really going through it right now. Her head is absolutely killing her. We've got an appointment on Thursday. Hopefully she's going to get a procedure that we think she needs done, scheduled from that, and then we will see more growth in her health. I was thinking from stock and cryptocurrency terms. Hopefully we'll see some progress. It would be a better term. It's more progress in her health. That's what we're praying for. All right. Emmy May said it would be foolish to listen to an influencer. Nothing is for sure, and promoting Bitcoin, Ethereum at these prices is very risky. By the way, downside of Bitcoin range is 10K. It's funny you say that, Emmy May, because we teach something called the financial sovereignty way, and it's not until step 9 that I recommend much of any Bitcoin and cryptocurrency investment. Step 1, we choose financial sovereignty and repent of our foolishness. Step 2, we slash and burn until we're living on less than we make. Step 3, we build and maintain a budget. Step 4, we save a $2,500 starter emergency fund. Step 5, we declare war on debt. And we pay it off smallest to largest IRS first, unless we can refinance it into a personal loan. Then we will pay it off smallest to largest in the debt snowball method. Then we save a 3 to 6 month fully funded emergency fund. Then we invest 15% of our household income in step 7 into retirement accounts until you've got a few $1,000,000 in there for sure. Then we work on paying off our house early in step 8. And then in step 9, we invest for extra wealth generation. And that's where I want most of you guys to be investing in Bitcoin after you've done all of those things. And then step 10 is where we live and give big, and we are able to be radically generous and afford things we never thought we'd be able to afford before. I do agree that investing in Bitcoin and Ethereum is risky, which is why, against what the cryptocurrency culture would have me teach, I stick to my integrity and my morals and say that it is in step 9 that we actually start doing a lot of cryptocurrency investment, because I would prefer people to invest in the stock market, even though it has a potentially lower return, but also a lower risk profile for retirement accounts. Totally agree with you on that. Could you write down the laws of money, please? Yes, actually, I am looking to launch FinStyle Academy, hopefully within the next month. Every day I get to work at about 8. I spend a couple of hours working on the Financial Sovereignty Academy, and then I come on air. And so the FinSov Academy will be going live soon. I'm not going to say when because I don't know for totally sure. We have a lot of health complications going on right now, and it's a very small business at the moment. So if anything's, I have to step away and make sure that I'm taking care of my family. But I do believe that we're going to have FinSov Academy out very soon, and I'm extremely excited about that because once we get FinSov Academy out, I'm going to have a place where I can send all of you and say, go here to learn our teaching. It's going to be $99 a year to start. We're going to give it probably about a 3% inflation every year to keep up with inflation. So it'll start at $99. If you get it before the end of the year, then you will lock it in at $99 for a very long time. If you wait, then it'll probably be $103 or so per year. We'll see what that looks like. Each year, we're going to have the price go up. So if you get it now, you'll be able to lock in that low price. If you wait until next year, then you're going to have to lock in a slightly higher price. It won't be much higher, but a slightly higher price. So FinSov Academy is on its way. It's going to come in 2 tiers. We're going to have our base, which is where you're going to get all the videos, and then we're going to have the plus version where you'll have also all of the community features. So we're going to first launch FinSov Academy, the base with the videos, where we'll be adding more videos. And then as I'm able to build out the community features, then we will launch that as well. And you guys can upgrade to that. That'll probably be starting at $199 a year because those community features are going to include a lot of content that I'm very, very excited about. Even $199 a year, we're looking at like $15 a month. So stay tuned. FinSov Academy is coming. It's going to allow us to continue to grow the company. It's going to allow us to write down our teaching, and it's going to allow us to really clarify a lot of these things so that you guys can learn them, Gabby. So yes, the laws of money are getting written down in an academy. Eventually, laws of money and the financial sovereignty way will also be coded into a book that will be available at any of your favorite retailers. But naturally, we've got a lot of work to do before we can get there. So stay tuned. Will it be good for Canadians also? Asking because you're in America. Yes, although a few things will be different. I am going back through and trying to add in some language in my scripts to say, hey, and if you're in another nation, then do this. Naturally, I can't remake the video for all 200 countries in the world, but what I can say is that the principles behind the financial sovereignty way are timeless. So for example, in step 7, we recommend investing in 401ks with them up to the match, then Roth IRAs, then traditional IRAs. In Canada, you're going to have different investment vehicles. So you would basically pick the investment vehicle in Canada or in Britain or in Germany or in France that does the same thing, following the same principles. Invest in any kind of account where you get match, then in the best tax advantage retirement account, then in whatever comes after that. So even if it's not, even if you're not in America, if you're in Canada, most of the principles are going to be exactly the same. And if you're looking at something that is different, it's probably like 2 to 3% are different, just because the different kind of tax advantage accounts will look different there, right? So yes, it'll absolutely be very, very good for Canadians. And of course, I only think in step 7 are you going to really see any difference. And that would just be because 401ks and Roth IRAs and IRAs, they don't exist in Canada. They've got different models. But absolutely. To the one that said they are scared to talk about XRP because it'll make you a millionaire, you're tripping hard, need to come down off that trip. Yes, XRP is another YouTuber scared to talk about XRP. Not scared to talk about XRP. We've had a lot of interviews with people that work at XRP. We've done a lot of content with XRP. We actually talked about in our interview with the chief executive officer of Uphold the other day about how XRP was listed on their platform. We've talked about how Grayscale is working on XRP ETF. I think XRP is great, but just like I said, with anything other than Bitcoin and Ethereum, mainly Bitcoin, because Ethereum isn't quite meeting what I want to see either. This is not a chart that meets my criteria for I mainly, and I pretty much only invest in assets that I reasonably expect will be worth more in 5 to 7 years. You can sit here and you can say, that I believe that XRP will be worth $3, $5, $10, but that's speculation. I want cold, hard data for my money because I work hard for it, and I hate losing money more than I like 10xing it. I can look at this chart and say, hell yeah, that looks like it'll be worth a lot more in 5 to 7 years. I mean, you can see the parabolic trend, right? Even on log, you can see the trend. Here on Ethereum, right? You can see the trend, right? We're not quite back up to all-time high. I'd like to see that, but even on log, it's pretty clear cut. It's pretty obvious. Literally everything else in the cryptocurrency market does not have the same attributes that Bitcoin and Ethereum do, which is why I only invest, at least for now, in Bitcoin and Ethereum. We do have a small portfolio of altcoins for this cycle, but I dump money into assets that I reasonably expect will be worth more in 5 to 10 years, and that will make us 10, 50, 100, 500 millionaires in the long run. So stay tuned. Give it 10 years, see where we are. Come back, say, Jeb, how wealthy are you? And at that point, I'll probably say, about $100 million. And you'll say, man, I wish I'd have listened to you back in 2024 and did what you taught, because I could be right alongside you. Maybe not 100 million because I run a business, so our income is just parabolically exploding, but Still millions and millions of dollars if you had done what we had taught. Not against buying on speculation, but understand that it is risky, which is why we want to do that in step 9 and be very, very careful. All right, Miguel Rangel said, Jeb, saludos, my friend. Muchas gracias, saludos para tu also. También, right? Thank you very much for tuning in, everybody. Shadrach Frost said, let's hit that like button now. It only takes a second, and it truly supports this channel. Let's show Jeb love and appreciation for all he brings to us every day. Thanks, friends. Thank you so much. Guys, we're going to let you know about NordVPN. We're going to jump back into some technical analysis because that's what we're here for, guys. There's a big deal going on Nord right now. If you go to nordvpn.com/Jeb, you're going to get a killer deal. You can get NordVPN for 28 months for under $100. You're not going to find this anywhere else. Black Friday deal is open. Early bird special going on now. If you hit get the deal here by going to nordvpn.com/Jeb, you're going to get 28 months for $91.53. That is almost 2.5 years of NordVPN for under $100. What kind of world do we live in where you can get high quality security architecture that can stop you from losing tens of thousands of dollars in a hack for under $100 for almost 2 years? You get access to the secure high-speed VPN, Threat Protection Pro, and anti-malware and advanced browsing protection, and Threat Protection Pro add-in tracker blocker. These are all very helpful features, each of which will help to keep you safe in one way or another. If you go to NordVPN and the main website, they also have a Black Friday deal, but it's not as good as ours. That was $91.53. If you go to the Black Friday deal here, you can see the exact same thing costs $121.23 because you're not using your coupon with your good old friend Crypto Jeb. So make sure you go here and sign up for NordVPN through our link using nordvpn.com/Jeb. Get it, because as you put your credit card information in while you're buying your kids' Christmas cookies and your Santa Claus outfit and the third Christmas tree for your front lawn only, you're going to be susceptible to hackers and thieves that are trying to take that card information and steal from you. So sign up for NordVPN. It will save you money in the long run because everybody gets hacked or has malware on their computer somehow if they don't do something to prevent it. It's just going to happen. I'm investing in the... Good deal. All right, let's keep going here. Appreciate all of you for being here. Let's continue. Let's talk about some technical analysis. One of the things I want to hammer home is the election. And I want to do some technical analysis on that because that's specifically D-Day, right? D-Day. Let's look at what that is going to be. We're on the Brave New Coin Liquid Index for Bitcoin. I want to look at the last several elections and what transpired. Here on November the 3rd, 2020, was when we saw the election take place in 2020. We saw an election take place here in 2016 on November the 8th. If we go back here to November of 2012, we saw the election was on Monday, November the 5th, right? All right. So these are our election days. What transpired on the weekly chart? Well, what we saw happen was Bitcoin would go on a massive run after the election. If we come here and look at the regular chart, the run, as you can see, took place predominantly after the election. Whereas before the election, Bitcoin had run from the bottom to the top approximately 700%, and to the day of the election, about 450%. Following the election, Bitcoin would run an enormous 24,000%. Now, naturally, that was over 10 years ago, and Bitcoin has grown quite a bit, and there are diminishing returns, but it's still not anything to be scoffed at. If we look here, the 2016 election, Bitcoin grew 260% leading into the election. After the election, Bitcoin grew 2,800%. So far, the rally after the election has been over 10 times larger than the rally before the election. Here in 2020, we saw Bitcoin rally from the bottom to election day. This is the most recent election, 447%. After the election, we saw Bitcoin would go on to rally by 372%. So it flipped, and Bitcoin is looking at roughly the same size rally before and after the election. And since that's our most recent data, we're kind of going to go off of that. If we look here, we can see that Bitcoin has rallied from bottom to where we are right now, 359%. If we took a similar ratio of what we saw here, a rally of 400% before the election, after the election about 350%, we're looking at close to 1-to-1, but it's more like about a 90% of the rally before the election is what you'll see after the election. So if we've seen a rally so far of 360%, 90% of that would be about a 330% rally from where we are right now. That would put us in the stratosphere up here, As you can see, if we were to follow what happened in 2020, we would see a rally potentially upwards of $300,000. Now, do I think that's going to happen? No, I don't think that Bitcoin is going to add $3 trillion, $4 trillion of market capitalization in just the next year. I do think you're going to see some greatly diminishing returns, which is why, compared to the United States stock market, Bitcoin is starting to come into parity with it. And we also happen to have a big gold run going on right now, which is distracting from Bitcoin. But I do still think that you're going to see a large rally, even if it's not quite that large. Even if it's not quite up to 300K by the end of the rally. So what we're looking at here, we're probably looking at a 50 to 100% rally. Where do we get these numbers? We did a video on this a while back, but in short, if you look at the RSI, if you look at the MACD, if you look at several different indicators, we're looking at about $100,000 to $125,000 all-time high, in my opinion, by the end of this bull market. But when is the end of the bull market? Well, we saw Bitcoin hit the all-time high 380 days after the last election season. In 2016, we saw Bitcoin hit the all-time high 400 days after the election in election season. And in 2012, we saw Bitcoin hit all-time high 385 days after the election. Right on point, 380 days after the election, all three elections that have ever taken place in the history of Bitcoin. It happens like clockwork. So we're going to assume that something similar is going to happen. 380 days from election day would be approximately the first week of December. So we're expecting $100,000 to $125,000 Bitcoin based on many of the different price targets we've done. And we're also estimating that the end of the bull market will take place just a little before 2026, which means that this next year is the big year, which means that this election is D-Day. So if we come back and look at the shorter term time frame, we need to stop being so worried about, oh my goodness, is Bitcoin going to crash? Is it going to drop $5,000? Hopefully. Is Bitcoin going to drop down to 65? I sure hope so. Is Bitcoin going to drop down to 60? I would love that. Why? Because if Bitcoin does drop down to those levels, then that is prime time. That is prime time for us to invest. Remember, there are two ways that we want to invest. We want to invest consistently and we want to invest occasionally. And the first way that we do that is by following the fifth law of money on investment. Step 1, every interval, I or we will invest X into Y on Z. In step 7 of the financial sovereignty way, we say every month we will invest 15% of our household income into the United States stock market on Fidelity, on Robinhood, on Schwab, on Vanguard. I don't care. Or 15% of into retirement accounts. It's actually into retirement accounts. Retirement accounts, you might put 95% of that into the stock market. You might put 5% into Bitcoin ETFs in your tax advantage retirement accounts for retirement. You might do that. You might have a 3 to 5% allocation in Bitcoin for your retirement. I don't think that's crazy. I don't think that's nuts. I think there's logic behind that, but the majority of it is in the United States stock market, right? And then in step 9, we're investing for extra wealth generation every interval, so every month, every week, whichever. Or we will invest, let's say $100 into Bitcoin on crypto.com, on Coinbase, on Blowfin, on Bybit, on wherever. We need to make sure we have that set up. And then we're going to invest intermittently, sporadically. We're saving money on an interval so that on occasion we can invest more. In step 2 of executing the fifth law of money, we're going to save on an interval, and we'll save a certain amount on a certain exchange or a certain place, certain account. Every month, we're going to save 1% of our household income. And we're going to save that on, let's say, Uphold's USD interest account, because you're getting 4.9% over there with $2.5 million of FDIC insurance, because it's split between 10 different bank accounts. It's an absolutely incredible place to do so. So we set up an Uphold account, and that's where we're doing this. This is kind of the step-by-step. I'm making this as simple as I possibly can. I'm making this so simple for you. And then if Bitcoin does drop down to $60,000, if Bitcoin dropped down to $1, I don't care where it would go. Let's say Bitcoin dropped down to 64. That's realistic. That could happen. Probably won't, but it could. All right, we're going to use these savings, drain these savings to increase our investment. We're in intentional investment now. We're not in the war on chaos or debt. So we're not draining, we're not living on less per se so that we can invest more, but we are saving. And then when the market gets lower, then we've got cash that we can invest. Always keep cash on the sidelines so that if the market drops, you can buy. You know, people talk about Dave Ramsey, right? Why is Dave Ramsey so rich? Well, he bought $10 million at a 10 cents on the dollar of real estate in 2008. It's worth $100 million now. In the last 15 years, he's made $90 million because he had cash when the stock market crashed and when 2008 happened, and he was buying real estate 10 cents on the dollar. Right? That's what happens. Rich people get rich. People that have cash get rich in crashes. People that get rich get rich because they had money when the floor fell out of the economy. And I'm going to tell you something. It'll happen again. Eventually, we will see another massive crash. I don't know when it'll be, but eventually we will. Eventually, you might see S&P 500 return to 480. Eventually, we might see a return to 340. I don't know where it's going to go. You tell me. Where do you think it's going to go? But eventually, you will see an enormous stock crash. You can't wait on that because you don't know if you'll ever see these levels again, and that would be what we call foolish. You need to get into the market. But it's also a good idea to stack some cash. Here's a way you can adjust the ratios. Let's say that you're thinking, oh my goodness, the stock market's going to crash any day now. Any day now, there's going to be a stock market crash. All right, reduce the amount that you're investing every month and increase the amount you're saving every month. Don't sell your investments, but change the ratio where you're putting more money into cash than you're putting more money into cash and less money into investment than you were before. So that you have more cash, and if the market crashes, boom, man, you've got $15,000 sitting over there in a high yield savings account or in your money market account, and you can buy something with it. Let's say a big dip comes, buy it. Great, it's wonderful. But make sure you've always got that consistent investment going on. So that's how I want you to set up to take advantage of this. There's a massive rally coming. Continue to invest on a consistent basis, but also be stacking cash because the bear market will come eventually. And I want you to go into the bear market with money. Here's how we play this out. Let's just give you an example here. Here's how we would do this. You're investing back here, 90% of your money that you put in step 9 every month into cryptocurrency, 90% of it's going into investing on a weekly basis. Our dollar cost averaging, our disciplined and consistent acquisition, 10% here is going into savings. As you get up here, now you're maybe putting 50% every week into investing. 50% you're stacking cash because you're thinking, man, we're getting close to the end. As you get up here towards the top, right? As you're getting up here towards the top, all right, I'm putting 10% of the allocation every week into the actual market. I'm saving 90% of that money, but it's the same number every month, so it doesn't change. But I'm saving 90% of that number. And then guess what happens? Market drops through the floor. Well, you were saving a little bit of money here and investing a lot of bit of money here. You're saving half of the money here and investing half the money here. And you were saving half the money here and saving 90% and investing 10% here. When the market crashes, you've got this cash that you saved here, and you've got even more cash that you saved here. You've got even more cash that you saved here. And guess what happens? You drop down here to $32,000. Market has just gone to 65. You double the investment. And then here's what you do. You're investing, but there's 3 things you're doing. You're saving a little bit because the market's dropped a bunch. You're investing some, saving a little bit, and then this is your cash that you're deploying. And then you've just doubled the amount of money you're putting into the market every single week, every single interval, because you've been stacking cash. And so you double down when the market drops through the floor, so long as you have reason to believe that the market will be worth more in 5 to 7 years than it is right now. And when an opportunity comes, you've got cash. That's how you run the system. It is incredibly simple. It is common sense. It's not complicated. But the hard part is actually doing it. Are you going to do it? Are you going to run through the first 2 through the wars on chaos, the wars on debt? Are you going to clean up the chaos in your life? Are you going to repent of the foolishness, choose FinSov? Are you going to slash and burn and kill your expenses until you're living on less than you make because you can only run towards a cliff for so long till you fall off of it? You can only drive a train towards a broken bridge for so long until it's like the movies and it goes off. You can only spend and spend and spend so much until the bank account's empty. Are you going to live on less than you make, or are you going to go bankrupt? Those are your options. Pick. We'll make this painfully simple for you. I speak with conviction on this because I see people do it all the time. Oh, yeah, we'll bring in $5,000 a month to take home pay, but we'll spend $7,000. Oh, we'll just stick it on credit cards. You know what ends up happening? You go bankrupt, and the person gets divorced, and the kids hate them, and guess what? You ruined your life, and you don't get it back. And it's your fault because you wouldn't cut your expenses, and you wouldn't get a job and go make some more money. Can you tell I've watched people do this in my life, and it pisses me off that we continue to do this? And I don't want you to do that anymore. Stop. Live on less than you make. Okay. And then we're going to build and maintain a budget. All right. We completed the war on chaos because we're living on less than we make and we have a budget. Great. Are you going to declare war on debt? Save your $2,500. $1,000 isn't enough. Sorry, Dave Ramsey. You should have updated that law. Love you, man, but you need to change that. He's being a little dogmatic on that. $1,000 isn't enough. You're right. It's not. But the point of the $1,000 in 1992 when he wrote the baby steps was that you'd be able to get a pair of wheels and get to work. $1,000 isn't enough to get a car anymore. If you want to get a beater, if you want to buy a little dirt cheap, crappy motorcycle, $2,500 is a much better starter emergency fund. $2,500 also, by the way, adjusted for inflation, was $1,000 in 1992. So if Ramsey had adjusted that for inflation, it would be $2,500 by now. I like his original teaching. I think $1,000 isn't enough now. I think it was enough for a starter emergency fund in 92, 93 when the baby steps came out. So it's $2,500. And I'm willing to change it. Here in 5 years, it'll be $3,000. In 10 years, it'll probably be $3,500 because of inflation. I'm more than happy to change that. All right. And what we're also going to do after that is we're going to declare war on the debt. We're going to pay it off because if we keep going into debt, we will be a slave for the rest of our life. And being a slave is no way to live because it is death. Slave drivers work their slaves to death. Free people build wealth for their families. Step 6, we're going to save 3 to 6 months for retirement. Sorry, we're going to save 3 to 6 months of emergency funds. Step 7, we're going to invest 15% of our household income into retirement. Step 8, we're going to pay off our house early. Step 9, we're going to invest for extra wealth generation. Are you going to do all those things so you can get here? Are you going to do it? I'm curious. I'd like to know. Are you actually going to do it? In chat, are you going to actually follow the FinSolve way? In fact, I'm going to put a poll. Are you going to follow the FinSolve way? Yes or no? So here's the deal. And let's tie it all back into the title. Because I want you guys to know that tomorrow's D-Day. And I want us to be prepared for this. What do? Here's what you do. And I'm going to preach this till the cows come home. I'm going to preach the roof off on this one, man. We declare war on chaos, we get out of debt, and we intentionally invest. Those are the 3 things we do in the FinSolve way, in that order. Not the other way around, in that order. It's tempting to jump into investment before you paid off your debt. Don't do it. You shouldn't do it. It's not smart. All right. There's a huge rally coming next year. I don't care whether Kamala or whether Trump is in office. There's a big rally coming next year to Bitcoin. Are you going to take advantage of it? Are you going to take advantage of it? Because there could be a big crash coming here. And if so, you've got a mechanism. It's the same every day. You know, part of the reason that people don't watch the channel and part of the reason people love our channel is because I say almost the same thing every day. The wise people realize I'm saying the same thing every day because if you want to succeed in life, you've got to follow principles. The foolish among us, including myself sometimes, think that we've got to do something different every day. No, it's the same thing every day. Disciplined and consistent acquisition, not inconsistent scatterbrain acquisition. No, there's a process. There's a plan. You name me a company where if you go to a different location, you have a completely different menu every single time you go. Have you ever seen that with McDonald's? No. You go to a McDonald's anywhere on planet Earth, and you're going to have French fries, and you're going to have a cheeseburger. You go to Starbucks anywhere on planet Earth, they serve coffee, man. You go to Walmart anywhere on planet Earth, they've got a system. Save money, live better, Walmart. Are they doing it? No. But is that their system? Yes. You go to Hungry Howie's anywhere on planet Earth, do they serve barbecue? No, they serve pizza, man. There's a system, and it's the same every single time. Stop going to YouTube or stop going to me thinking that something needs to be different every single day. The reason we do a daily show is because the market changes every day. The teaching is the exact same. Dollar cost average, disciplined and consistent acquisition creates every single millionaire in the entire world other than the very, very slim few that inherited it. And guess what? If those slim few that did inherit their millions don't do that, they will lose it too because the Bible says, and it was right when Solomon wrote it, 2,500 years ago was just as right then as it is today. Wealth gained by vanity will soon be diminished, but wealth gained by labor will increase. Wealth gained by vanity will soon be diminished. It is vanity to try to build wealth without a system. It will not work. What you're doing is you're compromising quality for speed, and guess what? You'll get neither. You won't get rich fast, and you won't get rich the right way. You will get neither. For a long time, one of my biggest challenges was that I was in such a hurry to not be poor anymore. I was in such a hurry for my life to be organized. I was in such a hurry to acquire wisdom that I compromised quality for speed. Slow down. Do a good job. Build a good system and run it consistently. Speed's important. I tell my son, he's doing dishes. I say, how should we be doing the dishes? And he repeats it back like as if he's been told it 1,000 times. Daddy, we do a good job and then we work quick, but it's in that order. No, we're not working quick and doing a crap job. And we're not doing a quality job on one dish an hour. No, we're doing a good job, and then we're going to work fast. We're going to do both, but that's our priorities. We're going to do a good job, and then we're going to work as quickly as we can. In your investment, do a good job. Set up a good system. This is a good system. It's simple. It works. It's effective. It's time-tested. It's proven. It follows the disciplined and biblical laws of money. And then focus on speed. How do you increase the speed? You don't increase the speed by changing it every 5 days. No, you increase the speed by going and making more money and dumping more money into this formula. This is a formula that makes you a millionaire if you run it. And to the proportion with which you invest is the proportion with which you will build wealth. So the more money you put into this formula, the more money you put into this wealth building equation, the more money you're going to have. So with this election or with an ETF coming out or with the halving, I don't care. If the market crashes and you reasonably expect that that market will be worth more than it is right then in 5 to 7 years, then you deploy cash. If not, then don't. But at all times, dollar cost average into markets that you expect will be worth more in 5 to 7 years. If you think you're getting a good deal, put more cash in. Increase the amount you're investing. Instead of investing $100 every month, now you're investing $125. And that's 100 plus 25. Where'd the 25 come from? It came from draining the savings. Let's say you got $5,000 over here. Well, you're draining the savings. So now it's $49.75, right? Whatever the number is, you're draining the savings that you've been putting together. First of all, you're pausing the saving, and then you're draining the saving if you want to increase the amount that you're deploying every week. And that's how you invest. It's the same thing every time. So what are we looking at? I think we're looking at a big bull market coming in the next year. So consider to continue your dollar cost averaging. I'm not saying it's a great idea to pause it yet, but also be saving maybe 10, 20, 25% of the account every week. And then if Bitcoin goes through a giant crash, like back here, we would have said, we were having a baby literally this day. Literally this was the day we had our baby. So I wasn't here, but I would have been saying deploy cash. DCA more, pause your savings and start deploying some of your cash. According to this formula over here. This governs everything. We run whatever's happening each day through this formula, and all we do with our information of what's happening every day is adjust the ratio of money that's going every week into this. Is 90% going into savings this week? Is 90% going into investment this week? 10% going into savings? Is 70% going into investment this week? 30% going into savings? That's all we're doing. All of our technical analysis, all of our market analysis, all of our fundamental analysis, it's all for one purpose: to adjust these ratios. That's it. This week, my recommendation, although I'm not a financial advisor, I'd like for you to learn how to do all this on your own. My recommendation is to continue to put probably 70 to 85% into the investment side of the equation in step 9, following law 5 of the financial sovereignty way, the rest of it into savings. We're still very much investment heavy. If we drop down here to $50,000 or $55,000 or $60,000, we'll increase the investment, lower the savings. But right now, we are on a bit of doing quite well, so we're going to invest quite a bit. The market's got a great outlook ahead of it. When we go up toward, $100,000 to $125,000, we'll probably be investing 20%, or we might even flip it and start divesting, which means all of the money we're putting into the market will go into saving, right? So that we can buy the dip. This is a system that is time tested, is proven. If you do it, you'll be rich. It's that simple. If you do it and put enough money into it, you'll build wealth. And the only adjustment we're doing is how much are we going to invest and save every week. It's that simple. I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you did, make sure to sign up for Uphold, because I need you to have an account where you're going to put the cash. I need you to have an account where you're going to put the cash. Uphold's got a great place to put the cash. It's called the Uphold USD interest account. Earn up to 4.9% APY on your USD balance. No lockups, no monthly fees. It's FDIC insured. So when you put money in here, this is the best place in the entire cryptocurrency market to park cash. It is a high-yield savings account in a cryptocurrency exchange. You're going to get access to over 300 markets. You're going to get access to new tokens early. They are completely transparent. You can see all of their reserves. They've always got 100 or 101% reserve status. And it's basically the best place in cryptocurrency to get your start with exchange features. So best place to deploy capital from cash into the market, fiat to cryptocurrency gateway. You got all your favorite markets. Caspa's here, by the way. I forgot to mention that. Caspa's on Uphold. If you love Caspa like I do, Uphold's a great place to get Caspa. So shout out to Uphold. If you haven't signed up, sign up. Links in the description box down below. Really appreciate all of you guys for being here. We're going to read a little bit of chat and then we're going to wrap it out. Are you going to follow the financial sovereignty way? 58% of you said yes. The other 42% of you said no. I would ask, if you're not going to follow the FinSov way, I'd love to know why. Why not? I'm not judging you. I'm just curious. Why not? I'm retired. I'm cashing out. Fair enough. DCA is the best strategy, Jeb. It is. It's consistency. Consistency wins all the time. So long as you're doing the right thing consistently, it wins. Here's the thing. Consistency creates. Right? If you're consistently angry, you're going to create insecure and, volatile children. If you're consistently investing in a market that you reasonably expect will be worth more in 5 to 7 years than it is now, then you're going to consistently create wealth. Consistency creates something. Whatever you do consistently, it will create something. If you're consistently yelling at your wife, you're going to consistently create a divisive marriage. You're going to consistently create high divorce rates. If you're consistently reading your Bible with heart, not legalistically, but with heart, you're going to consistently create a closer relationship with God the Father. If you're consistently in prayer, you're going to cultivate a relationship with God and with anyone you're praying for. If you're consistently budgeting, you're going to consistently create financial prudence and discipline. If you consistently do anything, then you're going to create something. So whatever you want to create, do whatever the input is and do it consistently, and you will succeed. I have struggled so much with consistency of my life, and the reason I struggle with consistency is because I valued speed over quality. We've got to value quality over speed. Quality pays in the long run. Value quality and then value speed. They're both important. Quality comes first, then work fast and disciplined. Not disciplined, but diligently and efficiently. But focus on quality first. Quality always counts. And then after that, then make sure that whatever it is that you're doing a quality and fast job in, do it consistently. Do a good job. Do it quick, which is, speed in the long run, in the short term, and then do whatever that formula is. Do it consistently. The longer you do it, the more results you'll produce. That's how every single person on planet Earth got wealthy. They figured out, if I do this and I do it consistently, it'll build wealth. If I go work on this company called Microsoft and I do that and I do a quality job, and then while I'm doing a quality job, I work efficiently and quickly, and I do that consistently, then 30 years later, I'm worth $100 billion. Then all it is systems architecture. What's the system? What's the product? What's the value? What are you doing? In our case, I want you to do a quality job with your research. I want you to do a quality job with following the financial sovereignty way. And I want you to do it consistently. And you will get wealthy. Every single one of you that follows the FinSov way and invests in markets that perform the way they always do, you will build wealth. It's basically guaranteed. The only thing that's not guaranteed is whether you're going to do it and whether the market's going to perform the same way that it has. Although there's every reason to believe that it will. Hey, Jeb, your thoughts on outcome of election? I think that Trump's going to win. I would be surprised if Kamala wins, although it is possible. It's going to be a very tumultuous. And divisive next couple of months. And even before we wrap it out, moving into election day tomorrow, my wife and I will be out voting. I just want to say a quick prayer for our nation. Lord God, we just pray that you would give us unity as a nation, and I pray that you'd give us peace. I pray that you would give us love and not hatred one for another. No matter what side of the aisle we stand on, whether there is genuine evil going on in any candidate's life, I pray that we would be generous and kind and compassionate one with another. And I pray, Lord, that that would be what is seen from our channel here. It's okay to have an opinion. It's okay to think something is right, think something's wrong. It's okay to call justice, justice, and evil, evil, and sin, sin. But let us love our enemies and pray for them as you send the sunshine and the rain on the evil and the good and just alike. May we send our metaphorical rain and sunshine on each other, even if we're on opposite sides of the aisle, because the last time I checked, it is the United States of America that is one nation, not two, under God, indivisible, and it stands for liberty and justice for all. So God, I pray that those founding words of our nation would ring true over the next 48 hours as we go through one of the most divisive events, but also most important and most fought for events. I pray that you'd be with us. God, we make you our Lord once again of our nation. Thank you very much for being here. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Love your enemy and pray for them. And before I go, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good feeling.